Okay, welcome everyone. We'll start our first lesson. Today lesson will go through our LO1 learning outcome 1, understand the concept of assurance. My name is Anjum Satar and my email address anjum@ukversity.co.uk. Please, if you have any question, drop me email on my email address. So the aim of this unit is to provide learner with the understanding about the concept of assurance, and learner will be considered the responsibility of different stakeholders when completing assurance engagement, and will gain an understanding of internal control. Internal control mean within an organization, that control which is crucial, and control planning and control always work together. So they're important in the assurance engagement, as well as gain practical understanding of how to gather the required evidence for all assurance activities. Okay, that's the key. Okay guys, any activities we start, always reflect yourself how much you know the rate, how much you know about the assurance, and reflect, scale 1 to 10. Grant your knowledge about assurance. Before starting, we can look around what we supposed to do in this unit, how many learning outcomes we have. So in this unit, as we discuss aims of this unit, the today lesson will go through LO1. We have assessment criteria 1.1, 1.2, 3, 4, and if you want to work towards merit criteria and distinction criteria. That's all we discuss. Then the second lesson will go through LO2, the third LO3, and the fourth LO4. And then we have indicative content, what we supposed to be learn under each learning outcome. That's all, which we'll go through. Like today, we'll go through the concept, define the concept of assurance, assurance report, yes, assurance principles, assurance techniques, assurance process. So that's all will be discussed today lesson. So we'll start then. Anybody any question, guys? If you have, please feel free to drop me email on my email address. Okay, so that's the indicative contents which we'll go through. Okay, we'll start. An assurance engagement with the practitioner accountant express a conclusion designed to enhance the degree of confidence of the intended user other than the responsible party about the outcome of the evaluation or the measurement of the subject matter, and again the criteria. So reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but not absolute assurance. There is a high level, the degree of is a high confidence on the assurance. Limited assurance is a low level of assurance, which is state the negative. And a detail never give the absolute assurance because the inherent limitation of audit. So there can be a risk, not 100%. Yes. So in the case of audit, the definition word, the practice like practitioner is the detail, intended user is owner, shareholders, responsible parties, managers, subject matters on which the opinion is given, financial statement, criteria, accounting standard, and the legal requirement, and inherent limitations is subjective judgment by director. Director may not give the information to auditors, and possibility the fraud has been concealed, and the sampling. So the evidence is persuasive, not conclusive. So that's, can be other problem in the assurance. Okay. So next we look around the assurance. So an engagement in which the practitioner expressed the conclusion designed to enhance the degree of confidence of the intended user other than the responsible party about the outcome, evaluation, measurement of the subject against the criteria has international audit and assurance standard both. So in the simple term, giving assurance means offering an opinion about the specific information so the user of the information are able to confident decision knowing that the risk of the information being incorrectly is reduced. So what is assurance? Engagement, reasonable assurance, statutory audit, free from the material misstatement, true and fair, and limited assurance and review engagement. Okay. Then elements of assurance engagement. Three parties involved. The practitioner review the information, the intended user information, and the responsible parties prepare of the information. The subject matter under scrutiny, suitable criteria against the judge, the reliability and accuracy, and sufficient appropriate evidence to the substantial opinion and the written. So that's all we need to be. So assurance will reduce the risk, help for decision making, and increase the confidence. So consider someone who is buying a house. Most members of the public lack of technical expertise to assess the structural condition of the property. So therefore, the risk that someone pay a large sum of money to purchase a structural unsafe property, which is need further expenditure to make it useful. To reduce that risk, it is normally for a house buyer to pay the property surveyor practitioner to perform a structural assessment of the house. The surveyor would then report back the written report the house buyer identifying any structural deficiencies, measures against the suitable structural criteria. With the information, potential buyer can then make their decision to buy or not to buy with the confidence that they know what the structural condition of the house is. Okay, the development of assurance engagement, incorporation and separation of ownership and control. The business can be separated through the number of different vehicles, and it is common investors, those businesses, to seek to protection of the limited company status. And this means while they could lose the fund they invest, the business cannot be held personally responsible, satisfying the remaining corporate debt. Limited companies is referred to be incorporations. Incorporations as following implication: the creation of the legal distinction between owners and the business itself, opportunity for the owner and investor themselves from the operation, and they need to be managed. Okay, so let's guys read it carefully. So provide financial protection for the shareholder. It does lead one significant conflict. The shareholders, what the shareholder really want? Shareholder want to be maximize the wealth, minimize the risk. So shareholder directors are the stewardship. They are working on the behalf of the shareholders. So present another conflict, the directors are responsible for preparing the financial statement. They benefit from the reporting the higher profits. So therefore, they need to be independent review where the assurance is particularly audit come from. Okay, so stewardship is the responsibility to take good care of the resources. A steward is a person entrusted with the management of another person property. For example, one person is paid to look after another person on or abroad on a holidays. The relationship of one person has the duty of care towards someone else is known as a fiduciary relationship. The steward is accountable for the way they carried out the role. If the relationship is good faith, such as between the directors and the sense that shareholders own the company and directors take the decisions, director must their decision in the interest of the shareholders. Accountability means the people in the positions of power can held be accountable. Agency governance, we can look around how the company is run and controlled. Agency occur when one party is principal, employ another party as agent, perform the task on their behalf. So they have agent and agency relationship. Okay, so external audit is more developed country publicly quoted company. The large companies are required by law to produce annual statement and have audited from the external auditor. The objective of external audit engagement to ensure the auditor to express an opinion whether the financial statement give the true and fair, prepare with accordingly, and all the ethical principle being applied, like we discussed, guys, in other unit as well. You learn about ethics 5, professional code of ethics, popular people chat in offices, PPCIO, PCIO, popular people chat in office. So professional behavior, accountant always need to professionally competent and due care. Then C is called confidentiality, and I is integrity, and O is objectivity. So all need to be. Okay, according to IASB, International Audit Assurance Board, the framework of assurance engagement permit, two assurance engagement, reasonable, limited, reasonable assurance engagement, and sufficient appropriate evidence to be able to draw a reasonable conclusion. So all material aspects, identify and suitable criteria, give the positive worded assurance opinion. Okay, the role of auditor, 3 parties involved in audit process to prepare the management, directors, shareholders, and the practitioner, which is meant by auditor. The word audit is derived from the Latin word data, which means checking the accuracy in the book of accounts, and always the auditor's job to provide true and fair information to the user, and the user can make the reasonable decision based on the information which was provided. Okay, then statutory audit is the example of reasonable assurance, and this approach, these the assignments must be consistent with the local legislative requirements. Thus, we need to be. The limitation of audit means it is not possible to provide the absolute insurance. Financials include the subjective judgment. Inherent limitation control use the audit evidence representation from the management have relied upon only the source of evidence. Evidence is often persuasive, not conclusive. Yes, like we discussed earlier as well. There always can be expectation and the gap, and we try to reduce those gaps that will enhance the transparency. That's all the key objective of the audit that need to be done. So we need to get the sufficient appropriate evidence, persuasive in circumstance, in negative words of assurance opinion need to be avoided. Yes. So review engagement, voluntary, analytical procedure, and making the judgment. So for example, a limited assurance assignment is review the engagement of possible small companies who are not legally required to have a full audit, to have reviewed their financial statement, to enable them to present their account to be potential lender. There is no precise definition what is meant by the reason or the limited in the context. However, the clear, the confident, the inspired by the reasonable assurance report design a greater than the inspired by the limited one. Okay, the evidence gathered will need to be highly higher quality, objective, and review the financial statements. Okay, guys, quick, can we go through quick, this slide? Yes, if any question you can ask. Assurance engagement, reasonable assurance, secretary. Yes, three parties, which all been summarized here, what we discussed earlier. Okay, together the level of assurance can be provided. A reasonable limitation of the audit, not possible to provide absolute insurance, as we mentioned, and there always we have a gap that we need to be reduce it. Okay, what is then professional standard? In the UK, financial reporting standard is the responsible of issuing the audit standards. So international quality control, international standard of auditing, ethical standard, practice notes, bulletin. So international audit and assurance and standard are set the international standard on auditing, and these are ISAs, is which FRS, Financial Reporting Council, has adopted these. So that's we need to be. So what is the purpose? Setting high quality standard, enabling global and improve the quality auditing globally and improve the confidence. That's the main thing, is the confidence. Duty of care of the editor is the duty of care. Negligence in situation where the duty of care existed and the editor were negligent in the performing the duty, the judged by the accepted to the professional standard of the day. Damages, the client has suffered some of the monetary losses and direct consequences of the negligence. Okay. Then the professional skepticism is critically assessment use the questioning mind, prevent overlooking suspicious circumstances from drawing incorrect conclusion. The details should neither assume that the management is dishonest nor fails to the question or whether they are honest. This means the attitude that include being alert to the condition which may indicate the possible misstatement due to the errors or the fraud. Okay, ethical standard, like we discussed, professional code of ethics, every editor must need to be followed if we are in practice. So ethical standard, advocacy, self-interest, these will try to be where the family relationship, where other close relationship, where we audit independency can be issue. Audit should be independent, give the independent reviews, but these can be risk too when we have these interests, self-interest, self-review, familiarities, and okay. So ethical standard, editors have the duty to keep the client's affairs secret, exception circumstances, authorized to disclosure, authorized by law. So then they can, otherwise we can't, we're not supposed to be declared any information to the third party without the consent of the client. Okay, don't disclose the client matters with third party. Don't use the information for own gain. Don't leave the audit files unattended. Don't leave the audit case in a car, and don't take the working paper away from the office without good reasons. Okay, assurance, someone can be mean to be comfort, convenience, and encourage or the persuade. It can be means to affirm, attest, and confirm. Audit means checking the and examining and investigating. So auditor and the assurance are large topic areas, and they can be further broken into scope, internal audit, and these the key points which we can look around. So then we have a IES 300, which is international standard for audit assurance. Yes, so that's the risk is required. Auditor need to be designed and perform, and nature and the timing and extent that need to be sufficient, appropriate evidence, computer assisted technique, and use of auditor expert, and use internal auditors, and the difficulties to estimate. Test of control and the substantial procedures can be used. Test of control has already been dealt in, which we mentioned, which we'll go through in our. Okay, substantial procedures. Auditors are seeking substantial assertions by the director known as the financial assertion. So these, so assertion about the classes of the transaction and the events and the related disclosures. Occurrence of completeness, accuracy, cut-off, classification, presentation, about account balances, related disclosures, all need to be analytical procedures, inquiry, external confirmation, inspection, observation, recalculation, and reperformance. Analytical procedures is the relationship between the items of the data and the relevant information that need to be the information for the prior period, anticipated result, and the budget and industry's information all need to be, and then we can make the decision. Analytical procedure must be used in the audit assessment. Substantial procedures it need to be reliable, relevant. Okay, then overall views, and then we can use the sampling, the random, systematic, and then we have a computer aided design. Yes, so these are all, the assurance purposes is audit software and test of data that we can use for audit purposes. Okay, guys. So then further to enhance your understanding, I copied the link, please make sure, you can read before our next lesson. So you can copy and paste and then you can read. So today we discuss about audit and assurance and why assurance is important. And that's, what the key issue. Okay, guys. Yeah, I hope so. I'll speak you all during our next lesson. Thanks for listening and attending. Thank you. Bye bye.